We're live, whether you want to be
Hello.
or not.
We're done?
No, we're live.
Okay.
Hey, everyone. Sorry we're a little late. We're going to all yell at Baron de Ropp when he shows up because it's his fault. So, everyone yell at Baron. Because he got locked out of his house. A likely story.
I think he really got locked out of his house.
Oh, I'm sure he got locked out of his house, but it's just still a likely story. Because why not? Why not? How are you, Mark? Has it been a week? Since
It has been a week.
How are you,
I'm
Mark?
excited for the Kickstarter that's starting soon.
Since
It has been a week. Also excited to be excited for the Kickstarter that's starting soon. Getting back into some really cool ancestries.
Sorry, we had an echo. Yes. Oh my God! You see what happens? Because I wasn't prepared. Up here's Baron. Let's let him in.
But who's the echo coming from?
Oh, me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there he is. Is that a coffee? That's not a coffee shop.
It is a coffee shop.
You're in a coffee shop?
Yep.
No, you're not.
I am. You want me to turn the camera around and show you?
Coffee shop. It's a coffee shop.
That's quite the sophisticated coffee shop.
It used to be a bank.
I'm impressed.
That's my volume, by the way.
Your volume is
good?
terrible. It's okay.
Is it really?
It's a little low.
Okay.
It's mostly fine. It's a little low.
I can just get closer.
There you go.
Get closer. Is that better?
Where were you? What are you doing? Are you just running around doing your Dragon Con? Is that it?
Dude, yes. I cannot get like the last 5 items across the finish line to save my life. I am so close to having my checklist of crap done that I can taste it. And I feel like every day I check one off, something else pops on. Today was discovering the problem that is vegetarian, kosher, halal, and gluten-free meals.
Oh, my friend.
Yeah. I totally did not think about that when I was originally planning meals.
Well,
so
now
that's fun.
Now you're gonna have to.
I know.
That was my job at MTV, and that was back in 1992. And when the Beastie Boys showed up, they were macrobiotic vegetarian, and let me tell you,
I remember that story.
Trying to find macrobiotic vegetarian food in Manhattan, even in 1992, not so easy.
Oh, I'm sure it was not.
I had to go all the way to the Upper East Side to find this place. It was like crazy. So, but yeah, now you learn. Now you know.
Yep. Here we are.
I
don't know. I feel like I was talking to Dave Thalvamore earlier today, and I was like, I am going to have everything so ironed out, and like I've got everything documented at this point. So if I do this again next year, it'll just be a matter of sending like 25 emails and just like do it all in one day, and it'll all be done.
That's the world, man. Like the first time I put out a book was in China. You know how long that? Yeah. I mean, it took forever. You know, it's like I had to coordinate, and it was like working with people and getting the proofs and like, you know, getting the shipments. Now right. I'm literally like, here you go. Here's the PDF. Let me know when it shows up.
Right.
It's a lot easier.
I hope it gets easier.
So why don't you tell people what we're talking about, just in case people don't know? Give you a free ad.
Oh, yeah. So Green Dragon Fest is a convention at Ancient Lore Village in Knoxville, Tennessee, where you can come play tabletop games with your favorite influencers and game designers. Check out the link that may appear later on in the description below for www.greendragonfest.com.
I'll do it now.
And everything is all included. It is a totally inclusive thing. I think all the rooms are sold out at the venue, but there is a courtesy shuttle that will take you from the airport Hilton to the venue every day, and all the food is included. You get tons of swag, all kinds of good stuff. Who all is going to be there? We couldn't lock down the professor, unfortunately. He's going to be busy like on the first day of the con.
And the thing is, you never even asked me.
My list of people just ballooned. I had to chop the list at 10 people. But Justin
wow,
Alexander,
I'm not even in the top 10. Thanks. That reminds me, when I was in 8th grade, okay, And there was a vote for student council. And there was 10 people who get on student council. Yeah. And there was 11 people running. And
were you the 11th?
I lost.
Oh no!
I remember thinking, what's the chances? And then they read off the names of the winners, and I was like, "Where's my name?"
Oh man!
So that's me. You just brought up all that trauma again, Baron. I am number 11.
I'm just another high school bully now.
We just have to call Steven number 11.
Oh, don't say that. Well, I got back
totally
at
come
them,
and play though,
and I won't tell you how, but I got back.
Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, no. Josiah from Dungeon Dad is going to be there. Kelsey Dion, author of Shadow Dark, will be there. Hanker Infernal from Runehammer Games will be there, and he just opened up a store in Philly. So if you're in that, I-95 corridor, go check that out.
Kind of near there.
What else?
You have Bob, you have Dungeon Dad, you have Ted from Nerd Immersion, you have some loser named Baron de Ropp, you got Runehammer. Ooh, Runehammer. I don't know if I would play a game with him, man. He's a little intense.
He is an intense dungeon master, but I really do like playing with him. He's really good at like really crushing an encounter down to its most visceral elements.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Steely Sam, DM Scotty, House DM.
Playing with DM Scotty is like going on an amusement park ride.
Oh, really?
It is hilarious. Yes.
Justin Alexander. Man, yeah, look at that. I still might show up just to hang.
Yeah, do it. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, greendragonfest.com. If anybody is interested, check that out.
We will.
And it is a venue that looks like it's right out of a very particular storybook novel that I cannot mention for litigative copyright reasons, but has a film franchise that was filmed in New Zealand, if that gives anybody any ideas.
Oh, yeah, it's probably King Kong.
Exactly. It was King Kong inspired. No, I can't even say that.
Really? So I have to dress like a 20s flapper?
No. Actually, only you do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
That's why you weren't one of the original 10 people, because you're allowed to do it.
Oh, thanks. All right. I'll see. There's a lot of traveling. I'm doing a lot of traveling this year, so I don't know. I'm like, every week I'm going somewhere. I wasn't going to go. There's PAX East is this weekend in I haven't been in a long time. I haven't been in about 10 years. It's usually during the holidays, like during Easter Passover, and so I never get to go. And the last time I went, it was like really crowded because Boston is not a great place to have a geek convention. I mean, it was just way too crowded. But supposedly they said it's a lot better. I spoke to some people. They said it's better. Somehow I got on. They just gave me a press pass. So I got a press pass for free. And now I'm on every single press email that you get. So I'm getting a lot of invitations, and I was like, this looks pretty good. And then I saw Larian has a booth there, and I was like, ooh, Larian's got a booth. I was like, oh, that's cool. I might have to go just for the day, because unfortunately I have plans. I have so much plans on Friday. I had to cancel. I got invited to 2 parties, which never happens, but 2 things on Friday. So I don't know if I would drive up and go and come back, but we'll see. And then next week, I got the Mets home opener on Thursday.
The Mets.
Man.
I didn't take you for a baseball fan.
I have season tickets.
Oh, man.
Steven's a major baseball fan.
I've been to baseball in Puerto Rico. I've been to baseball in Mexico, in Canada. If I could, I would do
baseball in Japan.
I was at Japan, but it was off season. But I would definitely do that. I'd do it in South Korea, anywhere. I've been to over 1,000 baseball games easily. I've been to hundreds of playoff games, dozens of World Series games. I have season tickets. I go to about 30 to 40 games a year. My kids have been. My son's bar mitzvah was at Citi Field. My kids go to about 20 games a year, 20 to 30 a year. I've been on the field more times than I can count. And the really crazy part is they have what's called Bark in the Park, where you can bring your dogs. Mm-hmm. And my kids always like to, they don't do it as much now because they're older, but when they were younger and snotty, they would be like, it's like, oh, how many games have you been to? And they'd be like, oh, I've been to 2 baseball games. Like, my dogs have been to more games than you. It's like, my dog has been to 4 baseball games.
Dear Lord.
So,
wow.
I go to a lot of baseball games. And then I also then fly to Pittsburgh because I have my baseball fantasy rotisserie league draft, and we've been doing our league for something like 37 years. It's like one of the oldest in the country. We've been doing it since the 80s, and you have to do it by hand. Now that's geeky. So yeah,
that is very.
I'm into baseball. In fact, when I'm going to Origins, I'm flying in a day early, going to Cleveland, and me, Bob, and Derek are going to go see the Guardians, and then we're going to drive down to Origins the next day. So there you go. So that's how much I plan my vacations around going to baseball games. So yes, it's actually a week of baseball because Thursday's the home opener, Friday I go to Pittsburgh, Saturday I do my baseball draft, and then Sunday I come home. So it's all baseball all the time.
Wow. I'm surprised you don't have like baseball memorabilia.
And my entire office is filled with baseball memorabilia.
We don't see it.
Here, I'll watch this. See, look.
Okay, here we go.
You see up there?
There it is. Yep.
Oh, the camera's not like it won't. It's actually locking. But if you can see, there's a picture with me and my daughter at a baseball game. But those are all the bobbleheads. I have a brick at Citi Field. I have so much. It's ridiculous. I have an entire shelf with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 bobbleheads.
That's a lot of bobbleheads.
Yes. And you only get about 2 or 3 a year. So give you an idea how long that took. I have a picture with me and my daughter. I'll show you this. You want to see something cute?
Everybody wanted to tune in to listen to AI and D&D and Magic the Gathering, but here we are talking about baseball.
You made a mistake.
I know.
You said that you thought Steven didn't like baseball.
Dude, big mistake. Let me tell you, the 3 most important things in my life is family, gaming, baseball. Not necessarily in that order.
If you had to give up one of those 3, which one would it be?
Family. I can always make
I don't
friends.
know if that's good or bad.
There you go. Yeah. So why don't we move into the mini topic so that we can get to this AI? This AI is really a deep and interesting topic, but there's also been quite a few.
Let's talk about baseball more. All right.
No.
Well, you guys stink. First up, D&D designer, co-author of Deities and Demigods, James M. Ward has passed away. Everyone was talking about this earlier. He also did Metamorphosis Alpha, and he did Greyhawk, and he did
didn't he do Gamma World?
And he did Gamma World. He co-created that. Yeah. So it's sad because here's the thing. He was 72, which really isn't that old. And that means when he created these, he was 22 or 20. He was like 22, 23, 24. That's the thing. It's like these guys were all really, really, really young. They were all in their 20s when they were making all of this stuff. But, that's what happens. And I've been to a couple conventions recently. Hell, DaveCon, that's coming up. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think you're going there. I might go to that one too. They're having some of the most famous people there, and they're all so old now. It's just like they're really, time catches up, and they're all getting old, and this is unfortunately just going to keep happening. So, kind of stinks. But yeah, he is gone. So sad story. But I'll have a happier story. In fact, I even have a split screen for this. Let's see if I can do the split screen.
Split screen?
What's in your split screen?
There we go. Look at that. Ooh, the new... This is actually one of good news for D&D. The Dungeons and Dragons Red Dragon's Tale. Look at this thing. It's coming out.
The Lego thing?
At Lego. 2023. 2023. 2024. 2023. 2024. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023. 2023 April 4th for $359. And as someone who has their entire house filled with these $500 Lego sets,
I'm gonna do a because I remember when I was a little kid.
My son loves it.
I remember like the biggest castle set was like 120 or 150 bucks.
Yeah.
So what is that in today's money? I'm going to look that up. CPI.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if you ever want to look up a story that's fascinating, look up the story of Lego. Because Lego was almost bankrupt. And by doing some extremely smart moves, including going into video games and licensing, they have become a multi-billion dollar. They went from almost bankruptcy to multi-billion dollar cash machine. They did a really good job of turning around. And by going deep into the collector's market, where they used to be selling, for $30, $20, $30 sets by like, oh no, let's put out a $700 Millennium Falcon, sold out in 5 minutes. In fact, that's exactly what happened. So they have this interesting balance between licensed properties at reasonable prices, very beginner starting sets, and then these super high end. They do an extremely good job.
Right. They're honestly, it's like they're using their entry level product as just kind of like a marketing gimmick.
Oh yeah, they're really
long term. Yeah, for the long term IP.
Yeah, they're very very smart. And Minecraft didn't hurt. So, no, seriously. And then,
I knew you'd have this Lego thing on here, even though Steven doesn't necessarily tell us what mini topics he's going to do. But I had that earmarked. I was like, Steven's going to see this.
Of course
and he's going to do it
comes with an adventure. Did you know that?
Oh, it does?
Yes.
I did not know that.
It comes with an adventure as part of it, and they're going to do a video, and they're going to show the players. And one of the players, the guy who promoted this, because you submit ideas and then they're voted on the community and then they make it reality. They have this like thing where you vote. The guy who submitted it is going to be the DM, and then you have like Ginny D is one of the players. And,
that's fun.
Yeah, like if it's right here. Watch now. Oh, you can watch it right now. Here we go.
There you go.
I'm putting it on the screen. You can see.
You can all see it. That's how much Steven wants you to see the Legos.
Mystery Adventure in action, we take on a track.
It's a cool looking for sure.
That was a very cool little intro, and that music sounded very much like Critical Role. They know what they're doing, man.
They do.
Take note. Good marketing, WotC. They use Lego's smart, man. Lego's really, they know what they're doing. They're very smart.
So let's see if I guessed another one of the mini topics, because this is one that was a topic that would sort of be. I've been looking for stuff too. This would be Steven being correct about something, so I thought it would come up, which is that Steven talked about correct. On a previous show that at Gamma all the retailers were pretty upset with Wizards, and I said, like, often at Gamma, like, that is the time for people to give criticism, constructive or otherwise criticism, to the big publishers. They do that all the time. And Steven said this year it seemed like it was more, and they weren't mad at anyone else. Well, Wizards just announced that they're coming out with the idea for a program to let select retailers get their books 2 weeks before the street date. So that could be that Steven was right, and that they sensed an undercurrent that was going on, and they wanted to try to come up with an olive branch or some other way to appease retailers.
That was literally the topic. That was the topic of our show last week. So yes,
I know it was. That's why I thought it was going to be a mini topic this week. Of course, it's a mini topic,
because I'm like, they must be watching our show, because I'm like, either that or I don't know, we're just very good.
Does that mean Tencent is actually in talks?
No, and I have a story about that. That's actually not happening, but that was funny. They have this whole new campaign, and if you watched a lot of the comments on that video last week, it was actually from retailers, and some of them were saying that they don't even care. Like, they said no one buys D&D products at their stores anymore, and it is fascinating. It's like D&D is the biggest thing out there, but it's also something that you can get in so many places. Does it really matter if it's at the game stores? But they actually have to do something like that. And that's why at Gamma, they had all these bonuses. Like, that was the big thing, because they're not the only ones that are selling everywhere. Like, you know, like Renegade is going to be selling Hero Quest everywhere. It's not going to be just at the game stores. I'm sure that's going to even be in Target and stuff. But there, they had, when you got, Heroscape. When you got Heroscape, they gave you, like, they actually have here, like, pre-order bonuses, mugs, like, extras that are only for the game stores. So the game stores haven't...
They've got to do something like that. Even if it's just like a limited edition,
of course,
DM screen.
Yes.
Like, that's easy to produce.
Yes.
Put a little gold foil on it.
Right.
Where the dragon's breathing fire. Bob's your uncle. You're done.
Well, fascinating, because I was talking to... I didn't even tell you this, Mark. I was talking to a Target rep. How about that?
Ooh.
About getting stuff in. And they said...
What did they say?
That, and I kind of knew this, and once they said it, I was like, oh, you're right. They only like things that are exclusives for them. If it's something like, you know, they say really won't move unless it's an exclusive. And if you think about, not bobbleheads, the other one, the ones,
the pop
vinyls.
Yeah.
There's tons of pop vinyl exclusives at Target, and only Target. And I was like, aha, that makes sense. So yeah, they said, you know, like, if you're going to do something like that, they're not interested unless either A, it's already massive, you know, sort of catch-22. It's like, how do you become massive? Or if you have something they are interested in, they need an exclusive that they can only get at their store. And then they'll carry other things besides that, but then they're interested. So even Target wants exclusive items. So just shows you, like, you really need to do that. But yeah, they were angry, but Paizo's doing the same thing, and I think it definitely
Paizo
worked.
had already been at least making a special. They had a special art cover for the remaster that was retail only, and they had a few extras that they just put up on the store, but it was mostly retail only.
No, it's what you do. But speaking of Tencent. It ain't happening, and I'm going to tell you why. A few things happened last week. First of all, and no one even watched this video. I thought it was going to be bigger news. Hasbro Monopoly Go made $2 billion in 10 months. $2 billion. Yeah.
Not all of it for Hasbro.
Popular?
But yes.
It's the most popular mobile game launch in the history of the world of the United States, and one of the top 5 global launches of all time.
Wow. Congratulations. I'm glad that they're able to capitalize on such a outdated, honestly, board game. That's really impressive.
I played it. It took 7 years to make. I played it online. And
7 years?
7 years. And the game made $1 billion by November, and then made another $1 billion in just 3 months. Now, it's published by, it's published by Scopely, which is owned by the Saudis, by the way. So
yeah,
there you go. Yeah. You're giving your money to the Saudis.
I mean, that's not the only thing that Hasbro's doing with them. I saw on Rascal News, they recently announced a partnership on Stumble Guys, also for the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. That was like this week.
Yeah,
that's like a D&D specific partnership rather than just only Monopoly.
Yeah, well, but Monopoly Go. And let me tell you, the entire game is nothing more than you press a button. That's it. It's a slot machine. It is the definition of a slot machine. You press a button, your little thing goes around the board, you collect money. If you collect enough money, you can build up your cities. and then you need more money to build up more cities, and you just start, the cycle just goes on forever. There's no skill to it. There's nothing. It's just a dopamine drip. $2 billion, baby.
Wait, are you actually playing Monopoly, or
No.
are you just building up cities?
No, you press a button. You press a button, and when you press a button, there's no Monopoly. Please. You press a button, and your car goes around. And then, depending where you land, you collect money. Sometimes you collect money from...
It's a board game-shaped slot machine.
It's a board game-shaped slot machine. Sometimes you collect money from other players. Sometimes you collect money from the board. Sometimes if you want, and then you get dice. And you get 5 dice every hour, up to 40 dice. And then when you have... And then so you're building up, say, Tokyo. And then when you have $40,000, you can build... step 1 of the Tokyo Tower, but it needs 5 steps. So 40,000 will get you step 1. But then if you got 45,000, you can do step 2. Then 50,000, you get step 3, and so on and so forth. And then you constantly need more money and more dice. And then you can buy money, you can buy dice, you can buy special things, and then there's stickers you can collect. You press a button, your car goes around the board. You collect stuff. You occasionally build your city to... It's a slot machine.
Okay, I'm now less surprised that it made $2 billion when I thought that it was actually playing Monopoly with people. One of the objectively most boring games that you can play with them. No, this is actually more I was like, boring. There's no way. How did they do it? How did they put in the microtransactions?
But here's the crazy part. So this game, which is just a slot machine that requires no skill. In fact, there's a button you press to do it automatically. In fact, you don't even have to play it. It just plays for you. And Baldur's Gate took 7 years. And let me tell you, which is making more money?
The wrong line of work. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, to be fair, you have to decide where to use your dice rolls and where to use your money. So that's the decision.
Right. Strategy.
The strategy.
Hashtag
is
strategy. Hashtag tactics.
It's so I mean, we used to so at Blizzard we used to talk about that a lot, was the slot machine mentality, especially back then because no one knew what it was. And that's how the loot system was built. So that it was built in such a way that if you remember, you would get like the rares, and then once in a while, you get the legendaries, but it was the constant, and you were always fed more items. So you would have the slot machine mechanic, is what it's called, and then you would kill monsters and get loot. Now, sometimes 99% of the loot was garbage and you'd sell it, but every so often, you'd get that like really nice piece, and it was very addictive. And it even had that's where the color coding system came from, which now everyone uses, was to easily identify and give you like rewards, and it works. So yeah, it's gonna it's the future of the world. I was so surprised too. I was like, this is it. This is the most popular launch in the history of the world, is a slot machine. And it makes $11 million a day, and it's accelerating. And they have over 150 million people who downloaded it, and over 10 million people play it every day.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So, yeah. It's going to be, our entire world is going to be, I keep thinking of WALL-E, and every day we get closer to WALL-E, every single day.
100%. We absolutely do.
By the way, so Disney Dreamlight Valley developer is working on a D&D Sim Life game. So this is why I'm like, they're not moving to Tencent, because now they're starting to announce these new games. Yeah. There's a couple of them. And this is fascinating because I don't know if anyone played Dreamlight Valley. It's Disney Dreamlight Valley. Is it
like a Sims clone or something? It's
kind of like Sims. It's more like a Stardew Valley type game, which is actually pretty fun because there's actual like goals if you played Stardew Valley. People really like it. Actually, Dreamlight Valley's gotten very good reviews, and it's pretty popular. It's also free, I think, on Xbox bundle if you have the Xbox gameplay. So it's done really well. It looks great, and they decided to hire them to do a D&D type game. And
Cool.
that actually would be pretty cool. Actually, that one I'm semi looking forward
That'll
to.
crack the female gaming market really well.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, yeah. Game Pass. Sorry, I can't remember. There's so many of these game things. Game Pass, Game Ultimate, Game X, game. Everything's a game. But this, let's see. It says right here. It's like Gameloft, better known as the makers of the hit sim and copyright Minefield, Disney Dreamlight Valley, announced a D&D life simulation in the works, promising to blend together life simulation and dungeon crawling. The new game will take place in the Forgotten Realms and will likely be the first 5e product to actually feature magic item crafting rules. There you go. Well, because it's a big part of the game's crafting.
Right.
So that would be kind of cool.
Of course.
Yeah.
That will be cool.
Yeah. It's actually a smart move. I mean, this one is.
I agree.
It's actually very smart. It's a good place to be. It's a very innocuous license. You can just have a fun game in a fantasy setting that just happens to be D&D.
And it's so easy to make expansion packs.
Yeah,
I remember The Sims. It was like everything you could possibly imagine was an expansion pack. The Miami Vice expansion pack, the Hot Date expansion pack. And it was just like, roll the dice on an OSR adventure table, but for modern dating. And there was your expansion pack.
So Ziggy says,
go to the zoo expansion pack.
Ziggy said, games are not free on Game Pass. You have to subscribe to Game Pass. Okay, you're right. You're 100% right.
That is a pedantic point, chat.
Well, no, but he's not wrong. He said you do have to subscribe. But let me tell you, of all the subscriptions I have, it's very rare that I will actually cancel a subscription and then go back and resubscribe. And I canceled Game Pass, or rather Game Pass got canceled for me because my credit card gets stolen at least once a year. And let me tell you, there's nothing better to cancel your subscriptions than having your credit card stolen. It's the best. I tell everyone you should do it on purpose. Call in and say your credit card's stolen, because that's
a good idea.
I'm dead serious. And then suddenly all your subscriptions, they're like, hey, we're trying to charge you another $300, but it's not going through. And you're like, aha, gotcha. And then you never put the credit card in again. So I let the ones lapse. Now, I don't purposely have my credit card stolen. It just
happens that way.
It happens all the time. Seriously, about every 9 months, I get a new credit card number. So I actually missed Game Pass so much that I went back and did it manually. I'm like, damn, man, I really missed it. So there you go.
Well, that's a good way to Marie Kondo and figure out what sparked your joy. And it was Game Pass. So now that you also mentioned that last one with the Disney, you have bingoed all of the ones that I found this week as well, except for the main topic, which...
So there's one more.
I've got one. I've got one.
You guys
I'll let you go.
Maybe I saw it and forgot it too.
Ryan, what's yours?
Mine is some drama going on in Pittsburgh with a particular gaming convention that I just think is really interesting.
Which one?
It's barely related to D&D. But so Pittsburgh Gaming Expo has some fun drama going on. The organizer, who I've become a bit chummy with, he invited me to be a guest at the con last year, and
dude, I was a guest. I didn't show up. Remember, because of my thing.
I remember that.
So wait, what happened?
Had a flight issue.
Wait, yes, my flight was canceled, and I didn't get there. Wait. I thought I was going to go this year. What happened?
I mean, I'm sure you can talk to the organizer. Anyway, the deal was that he got a phone call from the convention center's manager, 2 months ago, saying
Monroeville Convention Center,
yeah, saying thanks but no thanks. We're gonna have to cancel your contract. We're not exactly sure what is going on, but I gotta cancel everything because it looks like Hobby Lobby is about to purchase the building and the property group that owns the convention center is currently in talks with Hobby Lobby to sell it. And then they're going to demolish or lease out the other half of the convention center that they're not going to use. And all of the vendors that were part of the Pittsburgh Gaming Expo happen to also be vendors for a lot of other conventions that take place in that same convention hall. And he started catching chatter that they were like, wait a minute, this convention has been canceled. This convention has been canceled. Is PGX going to get canceled? Like, what's actually going on here in the later half of this year? So it turns out that the organizer was one of the first people to start publicly talking about the cancellation of all of these different conventions in this convention center. And the local media in Monroeville picked it up, which is a suburb town outside of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh media syndicates picked it up, and then it went like semi-national or at least regional in the news. The Monroe mayor got involved and basically said, hey, property group, if you sell this over to Hobby Lobby, you will decimate the small economy that we have in this town. So the government got involved and figured out a way to get them to agree to not sell. And now the convention is back online. But in the process, that particular convention, Pittsburgh Gaming Expo, and there's a Comic-Con that happens in that
I was about to say Steel City Comic-Con is a massive Comic-Con.
These two conventions were like at the forefront of like dealing with the media shitstorm, and now Pittsburgh Gaming Expo has absolutely exploded in viewership and eyeballs. And
I'm going to tell them today that I completely am going.
Excellent. So I went last year and it was pretty big, but I was talking to Brian Wisner, the organizer.
Yeah.
He was saying it's going to be huge this year.
Okay, I'm texting him. So I completely so that convention center I've been to a couple of times. Like, so Monroeville is famous because Dawn of the Dead was filmed in the Monroeville Mall. Dawn of the Dead, not Day of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead. So if you ever watch Dawn of the Dead and you watch that mall,
makes sense.
That's the Monroeville
this mall feels really familiar when I was in there. I was like, why does this feel familiar?
Well, because Night of the Living Dead was filmed outside of Pittsburgh, and everyone in Pittsburgh is kind of where the horror scene started because they were all from Pittsburgh filmmakers. It's actually was a play. I don't know if it still exists. I used to take classes there. It was a small film studio where a lot of people started out in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And so there's a lot of horror movies that are filmed in the Pittsburgh area, like a lot. And
they were talking about last time I was there. They were talking about like
the original
all kinds of grind fest or
they're
like
all
organized events that happen there. Yeah,
and Pittsburgh's actually one of the biggest cities in the world for filming movies because it has everything. It has like whatever you want. It has water. It has hills. It has like every type of whatever you want is there, and it's cheap, and it's on the East Coast, so it's still near major cities. So it is
a major city.
It's Pittsburgh. Well, but now it's really big. But I mean, now it's really major. It always was actually. Well, I'll get into it because I lived there. So I lived there for 5 years. But yeah, Pittsburgh is one of these cities that was really, really, it was actually one of the biggest cities in the world until around the 1950s. And then it kind of went downhill. But now it's reinvented itself as a technology hub. And it is like a major technology hub. Like it's like the Silicon Valley of the East, which people don't think of. They're like, really? But then you go there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's really, It's
But anyway, that's the story. Through
I can talk about that
media
forever.
Drama and a rush fire sale.
Okay, I'm definitely going there because Steel City Comic-Con, which is in like 3 weeks. Okay, John Carpenter, Gina Davis, Molly Ringwald, Susan Sarandon, Rosie O'Donnell, Ernie Hudson, John Rhys-Davies, Christina Ricci, Debbie Messing, Ali Sheedy, Anthony Michael Hall, Judd Nelson, Heather Graham, Hayden Panettiere. Like, we're talking, there's a lot. And I'm going to keep going. Jason Priestley, Sting, the wrestler, is going to be there. Shannon Doherty is going to be there. Like, they have, that is
even I know over half of the names that you said, so you know that they must be famous.
Yeah, Booker T, Tom Savini, who's from Pittsburgh, by the way, and he did the special effects for Friday the 13th, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Like
now I know less than half now that you named those two additional names. So
I'll give you a few others that Jason Priestley, you probably heard of him. Tori Spelling. I'm sure you've heard of Tori Spelling. Jenny Garth, sorry. And that is a big convention. So it's in the same convention hall.
It's in the same spot.
Yeah. Now the convention hall is kind of crappy. Okay, to be fair, it's basically a huge building that is empty, and that's with some bathrooms and some food, and that's it. But it's in a very good location, and it has tons of parking, and that's all you need. And they could move it. There's a lot of land near Monroeville, and I know like easily they can put it. There's like a big movie theater there that used to be like a 15 screen. There's a lot of land there. So, but I will say when you sign those leases, because I had to sign a lease for like my kids like bar mitzvah and my kids bat mitzvahs, is there's clause in there something like, well, if they sell it or act of God like COVID or something, you're out of luck. And they, and you're like, what's the chance of that happening? We saw both happen. It's like, if a developer comes and buys it, there's nothing you can do. You might get your deposit back you might not. And when COVID happened, my son had his bar mitzvah. COVID happened, and then he was the last one. He was the first, and he was the last, and he never went to one after because they all were canceled. So, yeah. Anyhow, that's very cool. I'm gonna definitely get in touch with him right after this, or maybe while we're talking. I will.
I just love that he thought that the whole thing was gonna completely self-implode, and because the mayor got involved and the media got involved, his convention has now absolutely. Oh, I totally believe it, because
Pittsburgh is a major city, but very small. And it's also extremely isolated. Like when you go to Pittsburgh, there's nothing in 2 hours in any direction. So
for sure,
there's no distractions.
A heck of a drug.
Yeah. That's actually what I loved about it. But then after living there for 5 years and being landlocked, and you feel like you're in Pittsburgh, like you're in Pittsburgh. Like everything that happens in Pittsburgh happens there because there's no other cities nearby. There's no distractions. It's like this is what happens, and all the news is very focused on that area. So it's like living in Denver. Or not even Denver. It's like, any of these isolated cities. But this one's even more isolated because there's the nearest city is like Cleveland or something, which is 2.5 hours
away. The population is 302,000. That's it?
That's only because that's downtown. So central Pittsburgh doesn't have that many people, but if you do extended suburbs, I think it's like 2 million.
Yeah, I mean that's the size of. I'm just comparing like Knoxville, the hometown I live in.
Yeah. Oh no, you guys down there, the South is so big. I went to Louisville. It's like 600,000 people. I'm like, I've never been to that city. I'm like, where are all these people coming from this huge city? It's crazy. All right. Are we ready?
No, you said you had one more.
Okay, I got one more, and then we'll go real quick. Here's my favorite, last big one. People, I always like to give these out. A Humble Bundle. Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing, which is kind of a really fun role-playing game.
I've never played it.
Oh, it's really fun. And you can get basically all the books for $25. So,
that's a heck of a deal.
I know.
If you can deal with PDFs. I just can't do PDFs anymore. I have like miniature painters call it the pile of shame. All the unpainted minis on sprues that you have. It's like I've like a vault of shame of PDFs that like I got off a drive-through and have never touched.
Of course, but that's the point.
That's the point.
That's the point. My entire I have worse. I got hundreds of books here that I never even touched. So, but link now. I know I'm trying to get the link. The link is like so long that it's actually not getting. Well, here, if you go to bundles, and under the Humble Bundles, and then under books, you'll see Warhammer Fantasy Role Playing. Pay what you want. Yeah, the link is so long. I need to like link shorten it. It's like super duper
just
long.
Bitly or something.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Dune is there too. Yeah, you can get Dune, and DCC is there too. So if you would Dungeon Crawl Classics, I got a lot going on there. I know the Dune one I couldn't believe as well. I was like, wow, everyone, that's crazy, the Dune one. You can get for $18, you can get all the Dune books. I don't know how they'd make money. It's like, because they also go to charities, so it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess
Of course, it's all digital, so it's just infinite scale for a good cause.
Well, believe it or not all. The Dungeon Crawl Classic one, if you do $40, you get the book as well. Physical book.
Ooh.
80 products. You can add 80 products to your mountain of PDF shame, Baron.
Not anymore. I can't do it. Cannot do it.
Dude, you're talking to... I have probably tens of thousands. I have 22 terabytes of hard drive filled, and I keep buying more.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
22. If I did a screenshot, you wouldn't believe I have. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 hard drives on my computer, and then I also have a NAS. I also have another server.
Oh, Lord, is it 3 or 5?
My server?
3 or 5 Ray?
Yeah, 5.
Your NAS.
5.
5.
RAID
Jeez.
2, because believe it or not, one of the drives died and then another one died right after, and I lost some stuff, which never happens. That's impossible.
That never happens.
I know, so I had to go RAID 2 to double stripe it because I was like, crap. So I lost them. I know. I was angry. I didn't lose that much, but I was still angry. I was like, what's the chances? Come on, man.
That's funny.
All right.
Anyway,
we got way too geeky there.
Let's do this. Let's do AI.
AI. So
because this was like a really, really unusual response. And before we get too deep into it, I want to caveat before we get in the weeds to everyone who's watching. The episode title says Wizards of the Coast can't wait to use AI in D&D and Magic. Like in every episode, a company is not one person. It is a huge number of people. It does not have its own personality and individual consciousness that makes a decision.
Yes.
So when we're saying this in the episode title, we're talking specifically about Chris Cox, who is very much in charge and can make decisions.
He's the CEO. It might as well been from. It's the mouth of Sauron himself.
Oh yeah, well he is obviously an authority figure, but it does not mean that the creatives at Wizards or anybody else who's working on the products also can't wait to use AI. We do not know what they think about that, and could be another situation like with the OGL where the creative staff is saying one thing and the executive team is doing something else. So that's the caveat. Steven, take it away.
All right. The other caveat is do like and subscribe because we got all these people here. And if you don't,
caveat too.
If you don't, then Baron is going to cry, and we don't want Baron to cry. That would be sad. And if you have
caveat for Mark, by the way, is that while he is technically correct, I'm going to be a geopolitical strategist and be pedantic here.
God,
a corporation is usually the collective identity of roughly 8 people, with roughly 5 influencing outsiders of those 8 people as a heuristic. You usually do not cross the 13 people. Like whatever the aggregate ideology of those 8 to 13 people are, that's the people. So it's a small cabal.
And I would even say it's smaller than that.
That's very fair, but yeah. I'm going to guess based on the fact that I feel like when they went out there and in the apology tour, that what the impression that was at least given was that of that group of small people, the team who make Magic the Gathering and D&D are not part of that small group, and at best, like their manager's manager is like one of the like lower ranking people who sits at that table.
Right. Like Cynthia Williams is in the top 5 to 8 people.
Yes.
Well, I would say when Apple was and Steve Jobs was alive, it was one person.
I would agree. He was such a cult of personality. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, it was him. It didn't matter. It's like, and there are a lot of companies like that still. It's like where it's like literally just one person. That could be 50,000 people who work there, but it's really one person who drives the entire company. So, oh man, if you ever really want to get into the weeds, I had a lot of friends when I went to CMU who worked at Next Computer. Remember Next?
Ooh.
And Next
That's an interesting story.
That is. Well, CMU wrote the operating system. How about that? So I knew a lot about it during the time. And a lot of my friends work there as interns over the summer, and they all work with Steve Jobs directly. So I have tons of Steve Jobs stories. How about that? But that's for another day. But the stories never end with me, ever.
Steven is the iconic storyteller.
That was AI.
AI. So, a few things. Subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. If you super chat, we will answer your question no matter what. Even if you super chat and ask what color is Baron's underwear, he has to answer.
I will.
He will.
I will tell you.
He will
I will tell you what color my underwear is if somebody chats.
If someone super chats that, you'll get it. The other thing is this: Steven goes an unrelated tangent. No, that's the whole show. That's that's everything. Hey man, stay for the come for the AI, stay for the unrelated tangents. And also in less than 2 weeks, Baron, did you know that there's only 39 official or semi-official dragons in D&D, and that's it? Which sounds like a lot.
39.
Time out. There are 39. The 39 that we took are ones that are in Pathfinder.
Oh, Pathfinder. Sorry.
First and second edition. D&D has some that we did not include.
Well, you're
there,
true.
but
Like,
also
we did, like,
is
the
missing.
pinks and weird and like all that.
It also is missing a bunch that we did include. So
Yes.
it may be fewer than 39 if you're talking about ones that were officially in 5e.
All right.
Well, there were 15. I remember, like, in the core books.
Yes.
Second edition had the most that I recall, and there were 15. No, they were.
They added a lot of weird ones. They added like a pink one.
Were there 20?
There
might have been 20.
There was like a cool
Dragon
like
Fairy,
20.
Steel, Mercury, Mist, and Yellow and Brown. So there were 21 in the second edition monster manual.
Yeah, and then later they added things like purple and pink and all these weird ones.
And Song.
Yeah.
There were a bunch, but if we're talking 5e, it's probably under 39. And if we're talking Pathfinder, first and second edition, true dragons, obviously not just things with the dragon creature type that are not true dragons. There are exactly 39 between Pathfinder first and second, not counting the new ones for remaster.
So with that being said, I'll rephrase this. There's not that many dragons, like you would think, and we know because we did a book of dragons and we went through to find them all, and we're like, wow, there's not that many dragons. You'd think there's more, so we had to invent brand new
the game
dragons.
is literally called.
I know, exactly. You would think there's a lot of dungeons, not as many dragons, so we literally had to invent 6 new dragons for our incredibly best-selling book that Mark wrote himself. All by himself.
Good job, Mark.
I did.
He did. Battles of Ancestry Dragons, because he's crazy and you can play a dragon. And this is such a fun book. Everyone loves this book. And we said, you know what? We need to make a sequel. But we didn't make 1 sequel or 2 or 3. We're making 4 new books, and they all have new dragons in them.
The rate at which you can crank out content just baffles me.
Now, to be fair, I did not write all 4 of those books. I could not have done so. It was different authors.
Oh God, yeah,
multiple authors this time.
Yes.
Given the other things I was doing and the almost 300-page Alderman book I was writing and all the other ones, I could not also have written what is probably going to amount to would have been like almost 400 pages of dragons. Now, when we first came up with this, we were just making new dragons, and then we eventually realized everyone keeps asking us to be like, your books are really long. The heavy books are long. They have a lot of shipping, and sometimes they're like, we only want some subset of your book. Is there some way to split it up? And we realized this dragon book was going to be outlandishly long, but they were set in 4 different dragon families. So we tried to listen to the feedback that people have been saying and make it into 4 books that were, closer to more around 100 pages rather than one gigantic mammoth tome that will like crush you.
4 books. Well, and then we have to do it for 5e and Pathfinder. 8 books.
It's 8.
It's 8
That's
books.
correct.
We're nuts.
You're insane.
I know.
What are we even doing, Stephen?
I don't know. We're gonna come out with 40 books this year. 40 books. My goal is to come out with 52 books. You know what your goal? Remember, Baron, your goal was to do the dungeon, the 365 room dungeon in one day.
Yeah.
My goal is to come out with 52 books in 1 year.
One a week.
What?
Ludicrous. Lunacy.
I know. We
stare into the abyss and you become the abyss.
Yeah, but we do it. And we're getting better at it. That's the crazy part. We're getting faster.
Delusion King in the chat said, I need whatever Steven and Mark eat for breakfast every day so that I can be just as productive. You and me both.
I tell you, though, because we just met
People
with...
in chat are saying that I might be an AI. I can tell you that I am not an AI.
He actually is. I just told him. I'm programming him right now, so...
If I was an AI that could produce these level of effects like the entire time, then I feel like that already would have just solved my AI thesis, and it would have been done so fast, I would not have been able to drop out of it to join Paizo.
Yeah, that's true.
So...
Well, anyhow, that launches April 1st. There's some pretty cool dragons in there. And this is the nice thing, Baron. We just invented new dragons. Because I invented the wild dragons. Mark helped. He wrote it, but I kind of came up with the concept. And then Mark and I came up with 4 new families. And one of them was very easy, the fairy dragons. Because that was really popular. Everyone wanted fairy dragons.
Our fans kept being like,
really
what about fairy dragons? And we were
one.
like, they're not a true dragon. And they're like, but could you have true dragons that were fairy dragons? I was like, oh, we'll see. So the first thing I said when Steven's like, I want to do new ones, I was like, well, let's do a family of fairy dragons because everybody wants those.
So like 5 fairy dragons to stay on the same.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of them is a pixie dragon that is very close to the traditional fairy dragon. One is a mischief dragon, which is like a gremlin style dragon. The court dragons are like the fairy intrigue at the fairy courts. The alicorn dragon is like a unicorn connected dragon, and the allure dragon is connected to like nymphs and like the nature fae and fairies.
Yeah, I can show it.
Cool.
Then we have we started it with Ginny D. Why don't you just tell what's the Ginny D one while I look something up?
Ginny D, we asked her to design the concept for any dragon, which I then wrote in the initial book, and she came up with a toadstool dragon, which we stated was part of the family of Leshy dragons that, because one of the Pathfinder Leshies is the fungus Leshy. So we wanted to connect one to like each of different kinds of Leshies. And so now we have author Jessica Redicott to fill out the other 4. So that's one of the only ones where like I wrote one of the dragons already for the previous book, and the other 4 are going to join in and make the Leshy dragons.
And then we have the one I wanted is Misfit dragons, and they're just weird, man. They're really weird. We got one that's a metaphysical that like is shifting, it's phasing in and out of the world.
Oh, those are 2 different ones.
Those are
the
true.
One that's shifting is constantly like morphing.
Yes.
The one that's phasing is always phasing. The Doomer one is always like has Cassandra like bad prophecies that sometimes are true. And then there's the one where wild magic is constantly going on, and the one whose body is decaying that replaces its parts with like bionic parts.
He's always decaying, so he's half machine. They can rebuild him. Half dragon, half machine. He's a bionic dragon. And then of course we have the battle dragons.
That's another one that you wanted. Those are like the dragons that they just are here to fight. They live for duels or warfare or hunting people down because people are like the best
prey
to have to hunt to like get your skills up.
It's very easy. One's a predator dragon. One's a Klingon or Hirogen dragon. One is like a Highlander dragon. I basically just said, okay, let's go through all the fun things of like warrior types and make one dragon for each.
And they also are
archetype.
Kind of like different classes. The one that's hunting you down to kill you is like a ranger. The one that's just like battle rage goes berserk is like a barbarian.
So
the mercenary-ish one's kind of a fighter. And the one who's like wants to be in a big war and is commanding anyone around could be like the Fury warlord or like a bard or something like that. And then the one that's dueling is kind of like a swashbuckler or a duelist. So they're sort of they have ties not only to some of Steven's favorite fiction, but also to different classes in the game that are martial classes. So I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah. So this would come out this year. So and here's the covers. And you can see there are lots of silly, fun dragons. And if this goes well, we're going to do this again. We're just going to keep coming out with new dragons forever. Another 4 dragon books. Yeah. That's right.
So should we go back to the AI?
Yeah, let's go back to AI.
Okay,
well,
so we made it through both some interesting caveats that were about the AI and almost got into it. And Steven's pitch. Let's do it. This is a big one. Take it away, Steven.
We almost did it. We came so close. So, earlier this week, and everyone wrote me about this, Chris Cox did an interview. It was actually like 2 weeks ago. And on his interview, he was talking about the future of Hasbro. And one of the things he said, and I'll just read his words, because this is let me read it. He says during the interview, he touches on a lot of topics, but he starts talking about technology. And he says, this is a cutting edge technology, and Hasbro is a 100-year-old company. He's talking about AI. When you talk about the richness and the lore and the depths of the brands, D&D has 50 years of content that we can mine. Literally thousands of adventures that we've created and probably tens of millions of words we own and can leverage. Magic the Gathering has been around for 35 years and more than 15,000 cards, so we can use in something like that, Cox says. We can leverage all that to be able to build very interesting and compelling use cases for AI that could bring our characters to life. We could bring tools that aid in content creation for users or create really interesting gamification scenarios around them. So, there's a lot to unpack in that, because he uses, what really stood out is, because I was reading this, and then he says, and this is the area you really got to watch. D&D has 50 years of content that we can mine. Mm-hmm. The word mine is actually a technical term for data mining, and it's actually used in AI and other statistical tool sets for actually known for taking huge amount of data and then mining it for specific quantities or things you're looking for. So that wasn't an accident. If he uses that term, it's like one thing, it's like, oh, AI is really interesting and it can do all these cool things. I would have dismissed this as, he's just talking about the possibility.
He knows what he wants to do with it. He knows he wants to data mine it for the AI.
They're doing
it. Look like
they are. If they're not actively doing it, they have a project to start actively doing it soon. I would be shocked if they're not.
Well, they already
legally own all those words, like Adobe with their art. This is different than when someone goes online and steals artists' works to make the AI, or steals the New York Times text that they do not own to make their language AI. This is all stuff that Wizards could legally do this with. As to anything else beyond that, beyond the legality of it, that's something that we not only can anyone debate, but I'm sure we will wind up debating that. But they can definitely legally use their own material for this.
By the way, we have a great chat here. Regular humans are scared of AI, but AI is scared of Steven and Mark. Could be.
AI is like that, Steven. Glicker is going to be putting us out of a job.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, and I watched a lot of follow-ups over the week, and Baron wanted to talk about this, and he was available. And we would have had a really good guest, but he had to cancel last second, who wrote an AI dungeon master program, which I'm going to show a little later, because I want to show you where it is right now.
He said he's available if you want him to jump in late, by the way.
Oh, well, we barely actually got to the topic.
I got to quickly make another thing, but yeah, he can jump in.
I'm going to send him the link. I'm going to send him the link right now.
I was going to talk about, but let's talk. You can expand on that. So there's two things I want to mention, because everyone's like, you can't copyright AI art. Yes and no. Yes, you can't copyright AI art, but if you make AI art and then you change it, It's not AI art. It's just AI is a tool, and if you change one thing, you now own it. So that is blown out of proportion. Or not blown out of, but it's not true. The other thing is, there's a difference between using AI to scrape the internet and to scrape other people's work to create your work. That is unethical and illegal. But using AI to scrape your own work to create new work, not only is it not illegal, it's already done. It's probably not done in the way that machine learning can do it, but whenever someone makes something and says, okay, I need you to write something in the world of Greyhawk and talk about Vecna, you think they're not going back to the library and looking at what was written about Vecna already? Of course they are. That's the point. So this is not illegal. It's probably not even unethical. It's really just a tool, and welcome to our future. Like, this is going to be happening everywhere. And I know, and then I'm going to fix this thing so he can join us. I know people are like, oh, well, they said we're not going to use AI. Yeah. And then,
right.
Yeah, first of all, let me tell you, they lie. Like, big surprise, companies lie. Welcome to the world. And second of all, is that they could just change their mind and said, oh, well, now we are using AI. I mean, that's all they're going to do.
They can say they were telling the truth at the time.
Yes.
There's a lot of ways around it. The other one is whoever told you that they weren't going to use AI could have been very honest and telling the truth from their perspective, but then got overridden by someone else in the company.
At the time. Yeah, it's like, oh, we weren't using AI then. They're going to use it.
Or even they were like, I was told we were never going to use AI. They can say that, and we have no transparency, so we don't know whether, like, what's going on. It doesn't mean if you saw an individual person at Wizards or a message from there that said, we're committed to our creators and we're never going to use AI, the person who wrote that was not necessarily being dishonest when they did, and that's just a way that companies wind up kind of breaking promises, is the way I would put it, rather than like lying, is because there's lots of people and they make new decisions that clobber. I've seen this happen multiple times at companies. I mean, we saw it with the D&D date, right? Where one part of the company had a date and they wanted to advertise it, and someone else told them, no, we're not going to be able to get it out then, and they took it down.
So yeah, I think one of my favorite uses, just to kind of backpedal a little bit. Oops, I didn't want to interject while you all were rolling. One of my favorite, most ethical uses of AI that I've seen by a content creator. Oh man, their name escapes me now, but they did, just Google anime rock paper scissors. They did. They took a bunch of screen grabs. Their first video of it was they took a bunch of screen grabs from a Castlevania anime show, and the internet kind of claimed, came unglued because it was an unethical use of the feeder images of how to like develop a style. Well, they did a follow-up episode where they hired a professional illustrator to create like a massive swath of like 500 different images, and then they fed that into the Stable Diffusion AI in order to train Stable Diffusion and say, this is the style we want to mimic. And it was really good at replicating the artist's style. So I foresee that, this kind of tool will be able to rapidly develop out. Like, you can, as a concept artist, you will just become so much more efficient at getting good concept art done with using AI as an assistant. And I think that's the big thing to focus on, is that the ethical use treats AI as an assistant, not as a replacement, if that makes sense.
And not only that, AI is already being used. Like, if you use like, I was dabbling in Premiere. Not that I'm like going heavy into Premiere, but I've been dabbling in it a little bit more. And one of the most common things when you start searching for filters is AI filters that will do the work for you. It'll find all these things and clip all this stuff and will do because there's so much monotony and like busy work in video editing, in photo editing, in all these editing tools, in audio editing that machines can easily do. And it takes humans forever to do. And machines can do it in seconds, milliseconds even. So this is, again, it's just a tool. It's just getting to the point where it's starting to replace people, and it always did. Like, you could almost go back, remember 20 years ago when there used to be things like travel agents, and there used to be things like, it's like before the world of the internet and Expedia, and you would actually, if you wanted to go somewhere, you had to call someone and they would work out, and but they're still around, but there's not as many. And, technology does replace people's jobs. The thing that's very scary is that it's starting to replace doctors. Like, seriously, like doctors are starting to get replaced. Like, radiology used to be pretty big, but now that's being done by a lot of that's being done by AI, because AI radiology can find tumors and issues in x-rays better than humans, because they can see details that humans literally can't see with the human eye. So
I was talking to a dentist that I see, and he and I were talking. In fact,
I brought him in.
I discuss this with Knarb, who's about to come on a little bit. We talked about the idea of like what regulations would be hard to deal with in order to build out like a dental, like, can you detect cavities before, or like tooth decay before an actual dentist could, by using some sort of image classifier. And we just decided that there was just not enough money for a small cottage industry to do that. But it was definitely something that we were talking about for months.
So, see, Knarb, you're fine, because the first hour we talk about garbage. So you came in, we literally just started 5 minutes ago. I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, I tuned into a bit of the conversation, but
okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call those topics that
garbage.
That you always do garbage, Steven, except maybe the baseball one.
Oh, that's the best part. How dare you?
I know, I just had to say that to see how you would respond.
I'm watching baseball right now while we're talking. How dare you?
Yeah, but you had a Freudian slip. You said I'm watching garbage.
Anyhow,
I appreciate the invite, and sorry I'm late. I guess,
okay.
Even though
why don't you tell everyone who you are? And this is the first time I've met you, but I saw your channel. I was
absolutely.
like, I've actually heard of your channel before. Not that I do a lot of mini painting, but I think Professor Dungeon Master likes your channel a lot. He talks about you. So
I started a YouTube channel during the pandemic, and then mostly crafting related. So Knarb Makes is the channel, but I've always like dabbled in D&D and loved D&D. And then I became friends with the Baron here, and
the Baron.
Yeah, we've kind of kept in touch. My videos haven't posted a lot of videos in the past year, but been working on some other stuff. Some of which is AI related, which is probably why I'm here.
That's why we let you come on the show.
That's why you let me come on the show. Yeah.
It's
that's the TLDR.
Yeah. No, I want to show it. I gotta set up. I didn't have 4 people set up because I didn't know you were coming, but I'll set up an overlay real quick. But it's fascinating because what's your experience with AI? Because you wrote, and we're going to show this in a little while, a tool that's an AI dungeon master that runs you through an adventure. Like, how the heck did you is it just you who wrote it, or how did that work?
Yeah, so I'm a software engineer by trade. So the YouTube stuff was kind of my side hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever all the OpenAI stuff and ChatGPT came out, I was just like, okay, I could make something with this. Yeah, it was kind of just a passion project, and maybe it'll turn into more. The current version of what you're alluding to is a very alpha kind of state, so just keep that in mind. But there's going to be more stuff here. I think that's going to be interesting.
More, always with more. So while I make this background thing, because I gotta fix this, what is your take, all 3 of you, I guess, because so we said this probably over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago at this point. It seems to be a common topic on our channel that I said, and we said that, they're going to make AI dungeon masters, and this is going to be, we're going to do virtual DD. They're going to have AI dungeon masters, because the biggest hurdle right now for D&D in all games is, and you can go back in the video games and multiplayer, and I won't get into that, and when there was 4v1 games that were really popular for a while, is that if one person isn't there, then the other 4 or 5 people can't play, and it's a real problem, and it's still a problem. So they're spending overtime to figure out how to get rid of the dungeon master, and they've already done it. Like, video games already have that. It's called Baldur's Gate or Baldur's Gate 2 or Baldur's Gate 3 or, you know, or Icewind Dale. Like, there's tons of role-playing games that already do this. But then they're saying, well, but then it's not role-playing. It's not true role-playing where people are actually interacting with something or someone, and they're talking and giving you an adventure built on the fly. And I saw, oh my God, the responses were overwhelming, saying, no way, there's never going to be an AI that could take place of a human and give the complexity and detail. It's not going to happen. And that was like a year ago. And I'm like, dude, in another year, it's going to happen. I mean, it's so much closer than I think anyone even like thinks. And I don't think it's going to be perfect. I don't think it's even going to be close to perfect. But then you have Monopoly Go, it's the most popular, you know, mobile game in the history of the world, and it's a freaking slot machine. So I don't think the bar is as high as you think it needs to be. I really don't.
I think calling it getting rid of dungeon masters is the wrong way to phrase it, though. I think it's more about giving more opportunities to people that don't have access to a dungeon master. For example, take the concept of like a 14-year-old who saw some streams of Critical Role maybe, or saw, you know, some media about Dungeons and Dragons. They want to get started. They don't know anybody that plays, and finding someone that plays might be really, really difficult for them. Mm-hmm. You know, they want to just try it out, see if they like it. This seems like the perfect opportunity to me.
I mean, yeah.
Even if it's not like it's not going to be a human, but you know, like it'll give them a bit of that without it being just a video game.
It'll be the pornography of D&D.
I think it's likely, and I've said this before, that it's not going to start by being like, DMs, GMs take a hike, be replaced by our AI. It's going to be tools that are just like, oh, you're new. Hey, do you want to, if you double click on this monster, you can turn on its AI and then it'll run itself in combat. So you can focus on making up a dramatic monologue for the villain as the villain is taunting the players. You don't have to worry about this monster because it's on a script. When its initiative comes, it'll just go. And they'll put in tools like that where you can opt in to having the AI do something. Or someone else is like, we know you love running battles. You can't come up with a monologue on the fly. Who are you, Shakespeare? You can use this generative AI that will just kind of like word vomit a monologue at your PCs based on what you've taught it about that villain, so that you can focus on controlling the monsters that you're interested in. And so that way, whatever, because being a GM in a role-playing game often requires you to have like several dozen skill sets that you sharpen up a little bit, and you're going to be strong on some and weak on others. So I think they're going to use AI to let you pick the ones you want to opt out of that the AI does, rather than just be like, turn this button on and now the entire GM is in AI.
I disagree, because they don't want... I agree they're going to have that, but that's not their goal. Their goal is they want it that anyone can join at any time. It's like World of Warcraft, if you want to go on a raid. Okay, they want it so that there's no barriers to entry, none. And right now, there's a lot of barriers to entry.
Other than, I almost said something really saucy.
Oh, okay. Well, there's no barriers to entry. They want it so that you can get on and play. You don't need to wait for someone else. You need to play with your friends. You don't need a dungeon master. They just want you to get on and play whenever you want at any time, and it still feels. Well, here's the worst part. We're saying it still has to feel like D&D, but I don't think Hasbro or even WotC says, no, it doesn't have to be in D. D&D is what we say it is. And as long as they're using their stories and this becomes an IP engine, like I keep going back to Monopoly Go, because Mark thought, oh, they're playing Monopoly on a,
I was shocked how
it's not
that
Monopoly.
Would make $2
it's just an IP.
But it's not.
No, it's an IP. It's an IP on a slot machine. Well, we're going to be playing D&D online. I'm like, no, you're going to be running through adventures that take place in the D&D IP that uses all their protected content.
I think that's a different thing. I don't disagree with you.
I think that's what they're going to turn D&D into.
I don't think they're going to make that the only option.
They're not going to make it the only option.
When you're talking long term, you might. This is my guess. I could be really wrong. Maybe I'm too optimistic.
I think
it would have to be very, very long term before they made that the only expression of D&D.
Yeah, very long term.
What is D&D?
20 years. That's what I'm saying. 20
that's a
years.
good question, Dan. Or excuse me, Knarb. What is D&D?
Knarb asked the most important question.
What is D&D?
It is a brand.
It's a brand. It literally is. What is D&D? It is a brand, nothing more. And they have really doubled down on that because they have made sure that when you're playing D&D, you're playing D&D. You're not playing Pathfinder. You're not playing World of Darkness. You know, they make sure every single product they come out with has Vecna in it or a Beholder, or, you know, it's all IP. None of it is, they never come out with, hey, let's just do a Goblin adventure. Where's our protected IP? Do we have and own any of those goblins? No. Veto. They don't do that. Everything's IP protected now, and that's what they're turning into an IP.
Isn't Phandelver mostly
goblins? That was before.
I guess they weren't being an IP mine as much at that point. No. That was when they had the very small crew.
That's when they outsourced everything, and they had a group of like 10 people, and no one cared. And they weren't even. And WotC and D&D was never mentioned even once in any of their annual reports. It was completely ignored. No one knew who they were, and no one cared. And then suddenly, Stranger Things happened in 2016, and
no, everything has to be Kuotoa. Can't have goblins anymore.
Nope. That's true.
A protected monster.
No, actually, if you look at the adventures in the first couple of years, and they're also still trying to come out with new material. Like, it's not all only protected IP. They will still come out with new IP material that they can then create, and maybe something will gel from that. So
you're saying everything changed when the Duffer Brothers attacked?
Pretty much. Dude, it's so, I mean, they're so tied into D&D. Like, I am actually behind. I'm started season 4. I know it came out years ago, but I'm behind. And they're so into, I mean, it's like Vecta. I'm like, they're not like in D&D. I'm kind of surprised Hasbro didn't this is like He-Man world. Like, remember He-Man? He-Man was made to sell toys. Like, was this made to sell D&D? Because there's so much branding in this. It might as well just been from Hasbro. This is like their wet dream, this thing. Which is going to be fascinating because this is the last year. You know, Stranger Things season 5 is it. And there's no more. They're going to do spin-offs, but this is it. There's no more after this. So, and they sell a ton when Stranger Things comes out, and then Critical Role is going to move to Daggerheart. So they gotta pivot quick. They gotta move it over. So I don't know if I can get this 4-person layout done, but I can do a 3-person layout. I might
can do it. You can do it.
No, I
you
can't.
can do it. Steven.
All right, fine. Then you guys talk while I work. How about that?
All right, we believe in you, Steven.
Yeah, whatever.
What are you guys' thoughts on not dungeon masters, but players? What if you want AI players?
That's something
they already exist.
So like a bot to fill out a party where it's just like, people talk about, we got our fighter, our wizard, and our rogue,
specifically
but we only have 3 players. We need a heal bot.
When someone's not there, like say Jeff has like a hectic schedule, and then Jeff always misses every 3rd session. Can we replace Jeff with an AI for that session?
If you record your sessions and then feed his behavior into a large language model and then hook it up to an AI version of his voice, you could just put a Bluetooth speaker in his chair.
And if you're playing by chat or posts, you can feed the chats and posts that Jeff made to the model, and it will potentially be able to. The funny thing would be if you did that and nobody knew Jeff wasn't coming because you were playing on chat or Discord or something like that without voice. And how long would it take before people realized that Jeff wasn't there and that you just had an LLM that was pretending to be Jeff?
And it could give Jeff a synopsis of what happened at the end of the session too.
Yes,
hey, you did this.
But is that
But
so
I also
bad?
think maybe if it's not just Jeff who's missing, but like your group doesn't have a cleric and you want a heal bot, some people might be like, yeah, it's too much for the GM to have to run this cleric. Let's get it, and let's get an AI to literally run a heal bot, or at least as literally as possible. I know it's not technically literally a robot, but maybe people want to.
There's a message in chat. Do you guys NPC your characters when they're not around? Like, do you like bring them around and have them do stuff that's like kind of not really decision based? It's just they're just there.
Depends on the group's social contracts, because for most of my groups, if the character is there, something bad can happen to them. So sometimes it's a player by player, where some people are just like, I don't want my character to show up. They're just off doing something else. And some people are like, I know my character has very important buffs for the party, so I can show up and I know I'm in danger even if I'm not there. And it just depends on the group, I think. Sometimes it's in the middle, where it's like, I'll have my character show up and cast a weird important exploration or downtime thing that you need from me, but I'm not going to be like in initiative with everybody.
I mean, there's already tons of NPCs like Dragon Dogma 2, which is coming out tomorrow, which is basically a D&D type game. Like, you're running around in a 3D world, no less, killing monsters, and 3 of their assistants are NPCs.
They're like pawns.
They're
right?
pawns, they're called. If you watch the videos, they look good. Like, they look like, I'm like, are those people? Like, I couldn't tell. Like, I was like, are those NPCs or people playing them? And that's just a computer game, It's already getting to that point. I mean, think about whenever you play a shooter. I mean, your enemies are NPCs, and a lot of them are pretty smart. And that's before you really get into like true AI learning modules. That's just stupid AI. That's just if-then statements. It's not even AI.
That's not does that even pass as machine learning? a chain of conditional statements.
Dude, everything is as a coder my whole life, everything is an if-then statement.
Look, the definition of AI is something that's fought over just like any other term. Having been in academia in AI, I know that there are like vicious debates where people are like, well, what we call classical AI, which some of the people in our chat are saying is the only actual AI and nothing else is AI, are the idea of like true machine intelligence, right? When I was studying AI, that was one of the subcategories that I was affiliated with. And so were some people that were in that subgroup who would say, oh yeah, the other stuff isn't really AI. But most people, even within that group, still said that everything was AI. But we can see in the chat people saying that machine learning is not AI, certain things are not AI. One joke my advisor made was, it's always considered AI when it's not working yet, and we're still trying to figure out how to do it. And then once it works, someone else will say it's not AI at that point. They'll be like, oh no, search, being able to find things with your Google Maps, it used to be considered an AI problem. Now it's an algorithms problem, because algorithms would like to lay claim to this successful result. So it's kind of a snarky way to look at things, but it is true that nobody is 100% sure. I mean, I guess maybe everybody is 100% sure of different things, but there's not a consensus on what the term means.
Maybe you're an AI.
There's another interesting point here from chat, which is about at what point are you just playing with a bunch of bots and you're just by yourself? And I think that's a really important point. I think how long can you play Counter-Strike, if I'm going to date myself here, with just bots in your lobby until it gets boring?
Yeah.
How long until you're like, okay, I'm ready to play with some people now? And I think with AI, even the most advanced AI of like the LLMs and all that, I think even with that, at a certain point, you're going to be like, okay, I want to play with my best friend. I want to bring, Carl and Jeff and whoever else wants to play with me, and we'll fill in the roles, but like we want humans here, right?
Yeah, but
I think that's important.
I agree, but there's nothing preventing you from doing that. Is my point, is that you can always bring in humans. Like I do play other games I have played games with bots, and there was nothing preventing humans from playing with me. when I play. You know what I'm saying? Like you could play with both. So, but right now
Steven, you're suggesting that that, or at least what I took from your suggestion was that D&D will evolve to a point with mandatory AI GMs being the only way that it is done, kind of like Monopoly Go. That will be the way that the game is played.
There will be, well, like anything, is that if Hasbro, who owns it, decides that that is the way they want people to play it because that's the way that makes the most money, and those are the only options, that yes, people will play it. Like, for example, my dad, who's in his 70s, plays stickball. Okay? Do you know anyone who plays stickball? No. Okay? But the stickball... Are you kidding me? Did I just blow up everything?
Stickball.
Okay.
When I was 8.
What the heck just happened?
In my backyard.
My point is, it's like, there's nothing preventing you from playing D&D with your friends and cracking open your old books. But if it's not available and if it's not something that you can easily find, then you're going to have to do it on your own. It's not like, I'll give you another example. Mutants and Masterminds. Is that still even being made? If you want to play Mutants and Mastermind, you can. You just got to find a game.
Didn't they put out another edition of Mutants and Masterminds?
I don't know. But my point is like Top Secret. Oh, there's a new version of Top Secret. My point is that if they make it so difficult and make it that there's only one way to play the game, that yes, can you play D&D 5th edition? Sure. But how many people are going to be playing it? Right now, 150 million people are playing Monopoly Go. You think 150 million people are playing Monopoly every day? You think that's happening?
No, but Steven, here's my point. Hasbro didn't stop selling Monopoly.
True.
Right? They didn't discontinue it. They didn't
because
say,
it still makes money. That's why.
Yeah.
Until it doesn't.
Even though Monopoly Go maybe will eventually make them more from their cut, we don't know how much actual money that they made, right? Because they, like you said, the selling company is the one that's actually making the game.
Yeah.
Even if you get to a point where Monopoly Go is making their share of it 10 times as much as Monopoly, 20 times as much as Monopoly, whatever that is, if Monopoly is making money, and if it's also increasing the value of the brand of Monopoly by having multiple monopolies exist so that it's synergy between the two, I don't think they'll get rid of it. And for the same reason, I don't think that they will get rid of Dungeons and Dragons the way that, roughly the way that it currently exists, even if 100 million people play this new way that you're talking about. And I'm not saying they won't put in the new way you're talking about. I just am saying I don't think they're going to remove the current option and force you to play with your old books and no support either.
Ah, you beautiful fool. Anyhow.
Yeah, I'm just a foolish optimist. Hope is the mother of fools. Is that a Polish proverb?
Yes, that's you. Okay, look what I brought up. I brought it up if you look on the YouTube channel. Why don't you tell us what this is? Play Forge Saga. Tell us all about this.
Yeah, so this is the kind of alpha, kind of working version of a single player Dungeon Master experience where you are the player, you create a character, you can pick a world. That's kind of the current system is set up in world, so like you pick your world or your setting first. Mm-hmm. And then you could go ahead and pick one.
I'm gonna do. Well, we have Baron's here, but Baron's.
Yeah, pick Baron's.
No, his says stinks. Baron said he needs to redo it. Why does Baron have a world here?
You can pick Telur, the very last one there.
All right,
now pick Magellan. Magellan's fun.
Magellan is fun. I like Magellan.
All right, so we'll give a name for the character. We have Bryn. That's fine. We'll take Bryn, female. No, hold on. Let me turn off. Whatever.
Elf thief background.
Elf thief. Fine. Good enough. Create. And then how do I turn on?
Here it goes.
Okay, which one do I want to play? Which one should I? Oh, there's some pre-made adventures. Are these pre-made? So how does this work? There's all these adventures.
Yeah, so they're pre-made adventures. You can scroll down. Pick one that kind of strikes your fancy, and then it kind of starts the game for you.
Oh, okay. Let's see. These potions are too strong. All right, let's go to the potion. Feeding the dragon. Now, you did this all on your own?
Bryn, a skilled elf.
It took a while, but I mean,
equipped with a lockpick,
most of the
a
code
cloak,
is
a
mine,
bow,
and then
and
you know,
arrows,
people helped with
stands
content.
amidst
here
the
and there.
vibrant Everspring
Okay, let's be
market.
quiet
The
while it
enigmatic
reads.
potion seller's warnings echo
This is my
around
favorite
her,
part.
shrouded in mystery and power. With a keen eye for stealth and a heart hungry for truth, Bryn's main goal is to prove her worth to the seller and unveil the secrets of the potent elixir. Secondary goals of avoiding misuse of the potion and unraveling the seller's hidden motives guide her path as she navigates through the bustling hub of commerce and enigma. The air crackles with anticipation, beckoning Bryn to take action and delve into the heart of this arcane conundrum.
Ooh, what are we gonna do? What do we do? What do we do?
It's gonna be weird because I can't hear when it ends. So just like
we
flag
can't
us
hear.
down.
Only you can hear.
I know.
Steven.
Well, it will do an echo if I do that, so you can watch
I
it.
know.
No, it's all good.
You'll be a little
Yeah,
behind.
I can listen to it, but I'll be delayed.
You're all
by a
gonna be
significant
delayed.
amount and hear all of us talking at a weird time.
Fine. So, well, you can read it ahead of time.
Yeah, well, we're reading it. Yeah. So
Yes.
So what
so-
what should we do? Chat, everyone, give us some suggestions. I want to see what we can do here. The keen eye brings me is to prove her wealth to the seller and unveil. Actually, I'm going to do. What do you have for sale? How about that?
there you go.
As you approach the potion seller's stall, you notice Valerie.
So the seller's name is Valorant. Ask her if Valrose is
her
her
stall
brother.
is adorned with various vials and bottles, each containing a mysterious concoction. Valeria eyes you warily, her expression a mix of resolve and caution. I have many potions for sale, Valeria says, her voice carrying a hint of caution. But I must warn you, these potions are not for the faint of heart. They possess potent properties, capable of great good or great harm in the wrong hands. She gestures towards her collection of potions, each one labeled with a cryptic name. Here are a few examples of what I have available. The
Okay,
elixir
okay.
of strength,
Potion of healing.
which grants temporary prowess in
Who
battle.
is,
The potion of invisibility,
the
which
eager
renders the
customer?
drinker unseen to the naked eye. And the potion of
Is that
healing,
somebody else
which
in the
mends
scene?
wounds and restores vitality. Valeria
Could be.
pauses.
That is
glancing
a
at you
local night,
intently.
whereas
But I must
Valorant
know,
is a
are you
potion
worthy
seller.
of these potent elixirs? Her eyes search your face for a sign of determination and purpose.
Wow, this is long. So how crazy
Yeah.
is this? Can I smash all the potions?
You sure can.
Oh, smash all the potions.
Get arrested.
Removed item. Oh, that can't be good.
In a fit of frustration and defiance, Bryn smashes all the potions on the potion seller's stall. Glass shatters, and colorful liquids mix together in a chaotic display. The once alluring elixirs are now nothing more than a mess of broken bottles and splattered liquid. As the potions are destroyed, the elixir of strength, the potion of invisibility, and the potion of healing are removed from Bryn's inventory. Valeria's eyes widen in shock and disappointment. "What have you done?" she exclaims, her voice filled with a mix of disbelief and sadness. "Those potions held immense power, capable of aiding those with noble intentions. You have destroyed potential tools for good." The crowd around you gasps and murmurs, their attention now focused on the scene of destruction. The potion seller's resolve remains unshaken, but her caution
have you done?
intensifies. Bryn's act of defiance resonates with a sense of rebellion, but it remains to be seen how it will affect
So
her
yeah,
quest
this
to
is a bit-
uncover the mysteries
Sorry, I don't
hidden
know if
within the
offended.
potion seller's stall. The choice to destroy the potions may have consequences, both expected and unexpected, as the story unfolds.
Oh my god, that is crazy. And it's actually pretty good narrative. I'm like sitting on like this narrative is really good. I can't.
So the narrative, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it falls apart. The
Yeah.
very start is very important. So like the adventure hook or the adventure seed, because if you just put one of these LLMs in a very vague setting,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna just give you like a vague generic
Right.
hook.
Mm-hmm.
So like the cool thing is here you can start it off on like a very well published adventure hook.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of your work if you have.
Oh, we do. We have tons.
So
Fix the
I think that's-
potions.
We should just feed it like
I'm gonna say fix the
the entire
potions.
Battle Zoo Islands
Oh
book.
my god, that would be
it could.
a nightmare. That would be cool. Actually, I would love to see that. I said to fix it. Let's see if it's smart enough to know. Can I like get it back into the? I'm like, oops, sorry about that. Let's like try to.
It said it updated the items.
It's updating
Feeling
it.
remorseful
And they're
for
back
her
in the
earlier
shop
actions,
now.
Bryn
You somehow
quickly
fixed
fixes
them.
the shattered
Let's see how you
potions,
fix it.
restoring them to
That's
their
amazing.
original
I
state. The
restored
elixir
them.
of strength, the potion of
Well, hold on, it's gonna
invisibility,
narrate
and the
how it's
potion
doing
of
that,
healing
so
are
let's see.
once again available for purchase at Valeria's store.
It's
The
just
elixir
repeating
of
what they
strength is a
already
vial
had.
containing a potent elixir that temporarily
Oh, you fixed them.
enhances the drinker's physical strength. The potion of invisibility is a small flask holding a liquid that grants temporary invisibility to the drinker, making
Mickey
them
said
unseen
magic
to the
duct
naked
tape.
eye. Lastly, the potion of healing is a vial filled with a healing liquid that can mend
Wow,
wounds and
definitely
restore
likes to
vitality.
give like
Valeria
these
observes
vague
Bryn's
kind of
actions with a mix
summary
of surprise and
paragraphs
relief.
that are
The
like a
crowd
little
that had
bit
gathered
like,
gasps at
we
the
will
sudden
see
reversal.
what this
Their
means
attention
in the
now
future.
shifting from the broken bottles
Yeah, I mean,
to the
I'm
restored
not thrilled
potions.
with
The
the
choice
level
to
Smash
fix
the
the
potions
potion
again!
lead
No.
Bryn down a different
And like
path,
it's
as
the
potential
current
power
version
and
is
aid
very
these elixirs can provide become
accommodating.
available once
Yeah,
again.
it's
How these potions
Like,
that was
really
really cool
utilized
how it
their
removed
impact
the
on
items
Bryn's
and then
journey
put them
remains
back
to be
in
seen.
like that. That's really awesome.
I've had a version where it was a lot more restrictive, or I don't know if restrictive is the right word, but it would kind of fight back on you a bit more. It'd be like, that's not really possible, but let's try and do this, etc.
Oh, I bought all the potions.
There you go. I guess it didn't describe how Steven fixed them.
It just kind of just
It
glassed
implied that it
over
was
that.
weird that he was able to fix them because the crowd was kind of surprised that this happened.
It's still pretty. It's still very impressive. Okay.
It is. No, I think that that's impressive that it
Bryn
realized that the
decides to
crowd should
purchase
be
all the
like kind of
potions from
surprised that
Valeria
this could
with a sense
occur.
of determination. She hands
for the
over
nerds,
required
under the
currency
hood,
and
it's
takes
using
possession
function
of the
calling
elixir of
for
strength, the
doing
potion
the
of invisibility,
inventory
and the
back and
potion
forth.
of healing. The elixir
saying
of
like, hey,
strength
take
is
this
now
item
safely
and
stored in Bryn's
update it to
inventory,
the
ready to be
inventory or
used to
delete it
temporarily
or
enhance her
whatever.
physical
How do I
strength.
turn off
The
the
potion
narrator?
of invisibility
Oh, so it's
grants
the-
Bryn
Oh,
the
I see.
ability
Music
to
note
become
there.
Yeah, I got it. I just turned it off for now. So yeah, so the potions are secured. I bought the potions. I have a renewed sense of purpose and readiness for the challenges. How long is this adventure?
Well, it's open ended,
Uh-huh.
right? So at any point you can decide to do something else. If you click Adventure Plus, I think it'll let you go on a different adventure if you're done with this one.
Oh, I see.
Can you
I see.
literally do whatever you want on this adventure? Like, could you make claims about the state of the world? Like, could you say, like, reveal the eager customer as a dragon in disguise? And it'll just be like, yeah, it was the dragon in disguise.
I'm gonna say, what is the
Maybe.
weather? What's the weather? Is it raining? What? Is it snowing? Is it hot? Is it cold? Let's see. Oh my god, a new. The current time is high noon. The date is unknown. The sun casts a bright light upon the bustling market of Everspring, creating a warm and vibrant atmosphere. The weather is clear, with a gentle breeze rustling through the stalls and carrying the aromas of various goods and food. It's a perfect day for browsing the market and engaging in lively conversations with the locals. Okay, I'm a little scared.
It's high noon at null. I love that.
Yeah, so- but it's kind of neat because it's like, so here's the thing. You did this on your own, right?
Right.
So one person in a spare time
Yeah.
for fun was able to do this, which is incredibly
Imagine what
impressive.
Hasbro can do.
That's what I'm saying. It's imagine what
Well,
Microsoft
hold
or
on
Google.
Somebody as a passion project is probably 8 times more productive than people doing it.
Imagine what
True.
version 2 of this is going to be, because I do have some friends helping me out with it this
Oh.
week.
Oh, they want my voice to be the
there we go.
narrator. There we go. How about that? I'll do that. That would be fun.
Snarky quips included. Ooh, can you get influencer AI trained narrators? I want to be.
Oh yeah,
I wanna be
I
one.
want to get the Steven. I want to get the Steven narrator where it's like, so you said you're gonna buy the invisibility potion. Now you can buy that invisibility potion, but that reminds me of that baseball game the other day.
Hey man, I went 5 minutes without going on a tangent so far.
That's true. That was pretty good. That's because you were distracted by
Well,
this cool AI narrator.
This is really cool. Oh, I can click on things, arrows, cloak, lockpick. Okay, say hello to the eager customer. Whoops, I misspelled hello. Whoops, I put a return in by accident.
There you go.
Bryn turns to the eager customer clad in shining armor and offers a friendly greeting. "Hello there," she says with a warm smile. The customer, seemingly caught off guard by the unexpected greeting, pauses for a moment before returning the greeting with a nod and a somewhat relieved smile. The bustling marquee continues around them, presenting an opportunity for Bryn to engage further conversation or to proceed with her own agenda. Ooh, this is scary.
What will it do if you say proceed with my own agenda? Like, what will it decide that is?
I don't know. Let's
Curious.
see. Proceed with my own agenda. Of course, I was a big Infocom player in the day, so I keep wanting to say go north. We'll do that next.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
With her own agenda in mind, Bryn continues her journey through the bustling market of Everspring. She takes a moment to observe the various stalls, an array of goods being sold. The potion seller stall still stands in the center, drawing curious onlookers with this enigmatic allure. As Bryn walks past the potion seller stall, she can't help but feel a sense of intrigue and curiosity about the mysterious potions that lay within. However, she remains focused on her main goal, to prove her worth to the potion seller and uncover the mystery behind the powerful potion. Dun dun dun!
There you go. So it was pretty smart. It realized that your agenda should be, and obviously smart is just us calling something that appears human smart, right? It's doing the thing LLMs always do, but it realized that proceeding with the agenda based on its model meant that it should indicate what that agenda was.
Go north.
I mean, to me, that AI response was a big nothing sandwich. But
No, that was nothing.
I mean, it basically didn't do anything
It had me move.
new, but it did know that proceeding with the agenda.
I said go north and moved
it
me.
should indicate what his agenda was to him again.
Oh, here we go. I left the
I
market.
didn't know what it was gonna do.
I left the market.
I think there is a bug here. Like it went to Everspring Shaded Grove 3 times.
Huh.
I don't know why it did that, but the AI decided to call that function 3 times for some reason.
So, as people pointed out, this does get tiresome, after a while.
Like, I wouldn't want to keep playing this for a long time, but I think it's neat that it does the functionality that it already does.
So what were you saying, version 2, because you want to get more like human interaction or groups, so this becomes a little bit more dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, the basic concept is just open this up to multiplayer. There's a couple of different AI dungeon masters that do multiplayer already. One of them is a Discord bot called Friends and Fables, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have a web version as well. But on that one, it's 5e, and then it lets you do like, you each take turns of like doing stuff, and then the DM kind of drives the story forward.
All right, I said kill.
I think that's like a good direction to go into because
I said kill everyone. Let's see what it does.
It's really interesting to watch you play this, Stephen.
Why?
Because when I play it, I am far more verbose with the commands that I'm giving the large language model.
Really?
That was even something that Knarb said. It was like, it's wild to watch you do this because most people give it like 2, 3, maybe 4 word commands. And I'm like, here is a 20-word dialogue of what I want you to do.
Are you just giving it like it's like, here's the political power map of the local region. I want to know why these potions are being sent here from like a economic and political standpoint. Who's producing the glass?
Yeah, exactly. No, there was one. It was like it was a sci-fi adventure I was playing where the quest hook was you see like a spy plane crash into the ocean in a fireball, and it like keys you into this was brought here, or this was done by a crime syndicate. So in the matter of 3 messages, I dive underwater and recover the black box and like reverse engineer how to connect to all the IP addresses that the computer inside the drone was actually talking to get access to the crime syndicate's computer servers, and then basically like reversed it so that those IP addresses were being used to purchase TikTok adverts in order to stage a rebellion against the sci-fi government of the city, and then use the city's national guard to put down the sci-fi or the crime syndicate. I'm like, that was a span of like 3 different messages back and forth.
Well, I did this one. I want to jump up and down while rubbing my head and feet at the same time while singing a song and dancing down the street. And look at this. It said I did it. It's like I jumped up and down on the spot while simultaneously rubbing her head and feet. She brings joy. She begins to sing a lovely tune, her voice filling the air as she dances down the street of Everspring. Passerby is watching amusement and curiosity, some joining in with her own dance moves or clapping along with the rhythm of Bryn's song. As she continues her joyful performance, the street becomes filled with laughter, smiles, and contagious sense of energy. But then it kind of repeats what I'm doing in different ways.
The thing that you'll find really quickly is that if you go away from kind of like the generic, not the generic, but like the general GM player interaction of the GM sets up a situation and gives you some maybe choices.
Right.
The player choosing those choices to drive something forward. It's like the moment you go into, I don't know if I'm describing this right, but like at the moment you just go into description, action without like any sort of motivation, then you're just going to get kind of generic nothingness out of model.
Okay. Well, I'm turning.
And it's easy to get the LLM into that state because it has like some system prompt somewhere that says like you act as a dungeon master and you try and do blah 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 blah, and then you try and drive the story forward and give interesting choices and whatever. But that's only one of the things, and if it loses track of that, you're not going to get much of this like actual actual good DM interaction would set up. Like there's a bandit that steals your coin purse as you're dancing, or like they set up a situation for you, Chekhov's gun or whatever it's called.
Right.
That's Chekhov's gun. So the point I wanted to show is that this is possible. Like, it's people are like, oh, this will never happen. Well, it's already happening and it's going to happen. It's just a question of what are they going to do with it? Like, what is WotC going to do with it? What is everyone going to do with it? But I don't know if you know this. But so Google, and this is actually very big in the world of YouTube and the search algorithm. So YouTube changed their search algorithm the other day, which everyone's freaking out about, because a lot of websites are now trying to make this a short story. A lot of websites are now just creating AI garbage, as Baron and I know firsthand, as I
shovelware.
As I almost single-handedly have had Hasbro like tank by AI regurgitating my story and thinking it became news, which is funny as hell, psyoping the world. But the point is that AI is here and coming up with all these stories, and it's flooding the web to the point that it's very hard to find actual content. And this is happening on Amazon. This is happening with these AI-written books. Actually, this thing I just read, they said there's so many, this is actually scary, medical journal articles are AI generated and are incorrect, that's becoming a real problem. Like, it's AI is just going everywhere. And so Google's trying to change the algorithm to get rid of that and try to get actual content, which is finding it's nearly impossible. So they're just saying, screw it, we'll make the content and we're just going to refer back to ourselves.
Oh, gosh.
Using AI. That's the whole joke. They're going to use AI to generate, quote, more accurate content and then have it go back to themselves. And then they could literally, the internet in 20 years literally might just be Google. There might not be websites. It might just be Google referring back to itself on AI-generated websites that are created for you on the fly. And
there's a metaphysical discussion here of the more data you have about the real world fed into predictions of what's next in the real world, the better you can predict actual things.
So one example I heard is that, for example, if you want to, like, say, change the motor oil in your car, and if you type in how to change the motor oil for my 2020 Toyota Camry, it won't find a video for you. It will dynamically generate on the fly a video using AI of how to do it and then serve you up that video showing how it's done. And then Google does everything themselves. And this is, so people are like, oh, that's cool. Or right now it's just ChatGPT. but then it's a website, then it's videos, and like before you know it, you could just say, I want to watch a movie where Jedis fight Tyrannosaurus Rexes in Jurassic Park, and then it just makes it. And now you have a 2-hour movie that is made just for you, starring Liam Neeson and like whoever you want. You just type it in.
Even thought like
have
as
you watched
far
that?
as what you're talking about is like the platform curating the content on the fly.
Yes, and that's
It's literally a
McLuhan
Black
has entered
Mirror
the chat.
episode.
Holy cow!
Oh yeah, there's a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with Black Mirror is everyone says that, and it's true. It's like it's all coming true. Like it's not even satire.
It already
anymore.
was true.
It was close to true, but now it really is true.
Yeah.
Like some of these episodes, you're like, is this Black Mirror? Is this actually satire? This already happened,
It's
And
like, what is it? Which one is the? I got into an argument with a coworker. It was a heated discussion, a pleasant heated discussion about the Black Mirror episode of the woman who had a illicit relationship with a neighbor or like an old friend or something like that, and basically got caught by her husband in an adulterous situation, and how he was able to like get her to rewind the view of her eye vision like back in time, and how even though she had deleted that section of the timeline, it was pretty obvious from the deletion, the fact that it was deleted, that the thing had gone, that was going on. And it's just like, I was like, that we already have that. Like Google tracks where you are on your phone, and people post so much. Like Foursquare was the start of it. Like I'm checking into this restaurant.
Yeah. Well, this comes up on
like, does anybody remember Foursquare from like 15 years ago?
Yes.
Well,
that comes up in courts all the time, because that's how they figure out. It's they can use basically your GPS location to figure out like a lot. They can just, and then that's just GPS. Forget about if you're using your phone. If you're using your phone, then you're dead, because like they'll know exactly what you're doing. But you know what? We're in the world that it doesn't even matter, because like, so also another story, baseball related, Mark, but still talking about this, is that there was like a murder that happened in LA, and they found this guy and said he did it. And he's like, I wasn't there. You can look at my phone. I wasn't even close to there. And they're like, nope, we're still pinning this on you. And then he said, well, I was actually at a baseball game where they were filming Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I'm an extra in the background of the cameras. You could see me. I was not there. I have overwhelming evidence showing that I was nowhere near this crime, and the LAPD would not accept it. They're like, nope, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that the phone shows it. Doesn't matter that we have videotape and corroborating evidence from the producers. We still were pinning the crime on you. And he eventually got exonerated. But even with overwhelming evidence, it took like moving mountains to force the police to admit they were wrong. So,
yeah, everyone go read the spiritual prequel to Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. It's a short story called The Pedestrian. I don't think it's longer than 1,500 words, 2,000 words. You can read it in 15, 20 minutes. Easy. The Pedestrian by Ray Bradbury.
Oh, so they're talking about AI and baseball, how they're replacing the home plate. The home plate empire is actually going to be replaced in the next 5 years, because they already are testing that. It's already been tested for several years in the minor leagues. But the problem with the AI umpire is that it was so accurate that they couldn't. It was actually messing up players because the zone was so good. So they actually had to put in a degree of inaccuracy to make it more realistic. And so there's like a small, yes, they had to put in a small degree of like a little bit of leeway to make it more realistic, because they were complaining, because something could be a strike and it could be like a 0.1 millimeter in the strike zone. And they're like, dude, the 99.9% of the ball was a ball and 0.1% was a strike. That's crazy.
Gotcha.
So they're like, okay. And the cool thing, if you really want to get into it, is they use the same technology used to track missiles, like the interceptor missiles and like Iron Dome. That's what they use, like literally missile technology for tracking baseball and football and hockey.
My favorite hack in that kind of space is combine tractors now have image classification systems on there that are built on top of facial recognition. So they track what like color and tone and shape the various corns or grains or whatever that the tractors are moving over top of. And based on how the facial recognition classifies the ears of corn, it can identify, oh, this particular plant needs just this kind of fertilizer or this much pesticide or whatever it is. And it's made agriculture at that scale extremely efficient with fossil fuel fertilizers as a result.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
I mean, but that's the thing. So two things I wanted to mention is that one person mentioned that, oh, are they going to be programming in Portuguese? No, I'm not interested. Actually, now here's the good part about AI. They're going to have Dungeons and Dragons in every language known to mankind. It's not going to, like, that's why, you know, like,
Forge Saga works in every language.
What's that?
Right now. Forge Saga works in every language right now, just using the LLM capabilities.
There you go. You see what I'm saying? But how hard is it to actually have rule books converted to other languages, especially if they're digital only? I mean, it's not perfect. It's still, especially something technical like a rule book, but it's pretty damn close and it's better than nothing. And there could be people who go in and fine tune it, or you have it, or you could do this, especially if you have core rules, have AI translated to the 30 most popular languages in the world, and then have translators go in, clean it up for a few weeks, and you're done.
It'll have you play D&D and Klingon or Lord of the Ring Elvish too, if you want it to.
You're really?
I mean, if you give it enough material of how to learn that language, it can talk to you in that language.
You're such a geek. That is so brilliant and horrible at the same time. We had a super chat, Mark, that we missed a long time ago.
By the way,
what was it? I didn't even
my
see
headphones are about to die.
Yeah,
so
well,
I'm gonna
that's your
drop
fault.
when that happens.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up pretty soon.
They were at 50% battery life. I thought that was going to be.
Well, we'll wrap it up because it's already been 2 hours. But let's get to the super chat at least.
Let me try to find it.
Chat.
Does anyone have any questions about our AI future, where the world is going to be a scary, scary place?
Do everything you can to buy a plot of land that you can grow your own food on and check out from the universe. That's my recommendation, everybody.
The boomer recommendation.
Dude, you do not want to do that. There was a funny article about this guy who tried to be a farmer. He was in New York City and he had like a plot of land, and it was so much work and so hard. He's like, oh, I don't understand how humans even got to like where we are, because it was so much work. It's
tough.
It's insanely tough.
It's tough. But my wife they are getting older, but they used to have like a grass-fed organic cattle ranch, and they're switching over to Christmas trees just because it's going to be so much easier for them to do Christmas trees.
Well, that's even all of human civilization, because until like the last 100 years, basically all time and effort was to like live. And there was no such thing as free time until the turn of the century. You know, that was like this new concept of like, you mean we're not working till we die? Now we're working to our death in a different way. So,
or the soul crush.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks so much, Stephen and Baron, and it's nice to meet you, Mark. I do have to hop off. This was lovely.
Good to see you.
And thanks so much, guys.
All right.
Stephen, did you get the super chat?
Yes, I found the super chat.
Bye, Knarb.
Whoops. I did the wrong person. There we go. That was quick. Trade the Small said, Mark, I just started running Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and I have a group of 8 PCs. How should I balance encounters to make sure it doesn't get out of hand? Whoa, that was just for you, man.
Okay, well, my recommendation is to use the encounter building guide, but be sure not to just make one big monster that's as high level as you could do for having 8 characters. Because yes, theoretically, the encounter building guide might allow you to make one monster that's 5 levels higher than them, but it's going to be wildly problematic. It's either going to wipe them all out or just get wrecked in action economy, or both. So you're better off making sure that you divide that extra XP budget up into more creatures, since you have more people on the PC side as well. And keep in mind that area effects and effects that can target multiple characters are much more valuable when you have such a large map of both allies and enemies. And if you're using a published adventure, the map might not be big enough to fit everybody in the room. So keep that in mind and consider changing like the squares to be 10 feet instead of 5 feet on your published map, and just make everything 4 times as much area so that you have more spaces to put the characters in.
I have something to add to that if you don't mind, Mark.
Go for it.
I mind.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
You don't get my knowledge. Steven has banned.
No, I want to
me.
hear it. Now I want to hear it, because now
okay.
it sounds like forbidden knowledge.
Yeah, the forbidden knowledge of. So think about also having like 2 or 3 different kinds of monsters in your encounter. I like thinking about it kind of like a football play, if you will, where you have your rank and file guys that are just meat shields out front. Then you have a really big, heavy bruiser whose goal is to move quickly and chase around one of the weak spellcasters and just bash the crap out of them. You have another one whose job is explicitly to reshape the battlefield and cast battlefield control spells. Having those, even though they don't do damage, they make the battlefield dynamic and will make the whole encounter feel much more turbulent and alive. Like the game plan, the strategy that the players are dealing with has to change every round. And then also have some sort of sing-songy bard or champion or leader or whatever that's holding the MacGuffin that everybody wants.
It's much more fun for a variety of reasons. One of which is there's more tactics. You have to decide which of the things that's happening to you is the worst that you want to end sooner. Whereas if it's not that and they're all the same, then it's just like, well, obviously we focus fire whichever one is lowest, and they're all equivalent. So whichever one is currently lowest is the one we'll take down. There's other people be like, that bard is buffing everyone. Yeah, but the battlefield shaper is causing us big problems. We should go after them first. And there's interesting debate and decisions to be made. Right. It's not appropriate literally every time, but it generally makes encounters a lot more fun. And I think I gave advice for this before in Mega Dungeons, and especially if you're seeing repetitive encounters with the same types of creatures, just adding in a few extra types can make a big difference. I gave an example of a Paizo AP where people had said that one particular Hobgoblin big dungeon that was in that AP volume was generally considered boring by reviewers online, but my group really liked it. And all I did, because they had really cool setups for the encounters, it's just that all of the opponents were either a fighter or a fighter rogue. All I did was add a bard and like a divine spellcaster to every group who could buff, heal, and dispel the party's shenanigans when they were doing it. And that just, I even kept the fighter rogues and the fighter, that was fine. And it just totally changed the entire thing. So Baron is absolutely right.
There you go.
And also, can we give extra credit? I've got an extra credit. If you're doing like a larger series of encounters, and this is a trick that you learn from playing Super Mario Brothers, where like the level design of platformers is to give you a challenge and then give you a different kind of challenge, and then they give you a little bit of a reward, like a mushroom power up, and then you get like those 2 challenges put together, and then it slowly increases the stakes every time. So if you think about like, I'm going to have 3 different types of enemies that are working together in this final boss encounter, have 3 prior encounters that introduce each of those enemies on their own. That way the players learn what they do. And then all of a sudden, all those different kinds of enemies are put together, and it completely changes the tone of the encounter.
There you go. So
there you go, masterclass for your 8 characters.
I just say my number one thing is you're never gonna have enough room, and
I made sure to include that, Steven. I know that.
I know
that was your thing.
That is because it happens all the time. Because in fact, we just had big conversation about this because they were on a ship, on Agents of Edgewatch, and they had a fight, and there was like 5 bad guys, 4 of them, and it was all like this like short, it's a realistic ship. Ships are small, man, like small hallways, and they're just like, what a mess. It's like, and they were complaining like, why'd they do this? And I was like, yeah. I mean, because it's one thing to write it, but then when you lay it out and then you realize, oops, maybe having 10 people in a 10-foot hallway and with lots of nooks and crannies wasn't the smartest move when it comes to combat. It's like,
it might be realistic, but it's bad for game design.
Exactly. Yeah. And you got to be very careful of that. It's like, I told you, the worst ever happened was Agents of Edgewatch. Was it the first or second adventure where they literally, the rooms were so small that there wasn't enough room for the monsters. The monsters were like 10 by 10 and the room was like 15 by 15, and there's 3 10 by 10 monsters in this 15 by 15 room. And then if you buy it on Roll20, which I had the Roll20 that was pre-made, like they didn't even bother. They just like put the monsters and they stacked them all in there. I was like, now what? Like, what am I supposed to do? But it was, the whole adventure was like that. Like nothing fit. And I was like, it's because it was so small. It was this really, really tiny speakeasy where all the hallways were 5 feet wide. All the rooms were like 10 by 10, 15 by 15. And you're supposed to be fighting dozens of rogues. And I'm like, yeah, this is...
Right. That's silly.
Yeah, it was a mess. I just gave up after a while. I was just like, eh. It was then I became all talking. I was like, yeah, we're not going to actually fight. We'll talk our way through this one because I didn't even want to deal with it. I was like, this is like a mess. So, anyhow. Well. Oh.
I guess that was the only super chat. Nobody asked.
The AI channel, I want to know where that is. Okay, where's Knarb's? Here's his game.
Knarb's Forge Saga. Yeah, nobody asked what color underwear I'm wearing, so nobody gets to know.
No one knows.
There you go.
Secret is he's not wearing underwear.
He's just there in the coffee shop doing whatever he wants to do.
That's right. He's just hanging out. How are you going to get back in your house if you're locked out, man?
Oh, no, I'm living with my wife and her. That's a whole story. She bought a house right before we got married. And I'm slowly moving out of my house, which is like right up the street. So creepy girlfriend move. She bought a house right down the street from her boyfriend. And I'm slowly moving into her house and renovating my house to get it ready for something. But
oh my God, are you gonna turn it into a year-long?
My office is still over at my house, and
I want you to turn your house into a year-long haunted house for Halloween, so you can always go in. Except it's like D&D themed.
You could call it the Baron's Haunted Castle.
Or my headphones just.
Oh,
died.
He died. Oh. All right.
So he couldn't hear those suggestions.
Oh,
That's
that was such a funny one. All right, well now we'll wrap it up. Hold on.
All right, everyone, take care, and until next time, if you want to battle the zoo, you have to roll for combat.
Bye.